What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Gym Session, brought to you by the Idaho Underground Sports Network. I am Shane Larson, the Game Time Guru. This is AJ from EBC Media and Ty Spangenberg from Boise Sports Talk. We are the Idaho Underground Sports Network. Super excited to be here with you. A couple of housekeeping items that we've got to go through like we do every single week. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. That's the bread and butter of this network is our Instagram page, Instagram platform. Go to @Idaho Underground Sports on Instagram and interact with us, guys. We're making posts. We're doing all the fun stuff. We're getting all the player updates and everything. We're getting all that taken care of on the Instagram page. We'd love to interact with the fans. We love talking to everybody. If you have questions, DM us. We love working with you. We are also on Twitter, all right? Like we said last week, it's a newer platform for us. It's not our main platform, but we are building that one out as well. So go to @ID Underground SN, stands for Idaho Underground Sports Network. So @ID Underground SN on Twitter. Go follow us there. We're going to continue to build that platform as well. Like we always like to do, give a special shout out to D1 Training in Boise. This is one of our sponsors for sponsoring our Hidden Gym t-shirts. Shout out to those who won those as part of our giveaway. We'll be doing more giveaways here in the coming week for some more shirts to give out, some more swag. We appreciate that. But D1, thank you guys for sponsoring us and helping work with us. We love working with the local companies and so forth. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with Ty, so we're going to hopefully get him back on here in just a few minutes. But today's show, AJ, let's tell them what we're excited for, man. We're going to be talking about round one matchups and going into round two. Are you excited for this week?
Hey, man, not getting to cover a game last week, I've got the itch. It was tough. It was great to finally get an opportunity to sit back and kind of watch you do your thing. You cover the game, and whatnot. So I appreciate your efforts on that Madison Meridian game, which looked like a great game. But yeah, I'm ready to go this week. Winners to the semis, the Final Four, a lot on the line. We got rivalry matchups. We got the second round, Highland Rocky, second round Meridian Mountain View, and that game ended, in a way that Meridian wants Mountain View again, right? Because they lost because of a missed extra point and a missed 28-yard field goal with no time left. Meridian had that ball game. They outplayed Mountain View. Now Mountain View all of a sudden, 8 weeks later is undefeated, and we'll see who's improved more. So I'm excited about all of it, man. I'm excited to see if Eagle can go up north and pull off that upset against CDA. Lot of good games. Capital, is this the Capital team we've all been waiting for that we knew was there? Have they figured it out? A lot of things are going to be revealed this weekend.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I wanted to reiterate that was weird because usually, I'm the one who's out of town. That's what it seems to be like this season. I've been gone 2 or 3 times, and it was you and Ty who had to, take control of the coverage. And then this last week, it was myself because you and Ty were out, and I was like, oh, this is not normal where I'm covering this is different. So I enjoyed it. I loved it. But I am looking forward to having you guys back providing coverage as well. And like AJ was saying, guys, we want to do a little bit of a recap of the first round matchups of state. There were some great games, and we're going to start off our first round recap with the game that I was covering, and that was Meridian and Madison. Meridian wanted this game. It's their first state playoff win since 2007. Big time win for the program because they've been in state, and they've lost to Madison, 3 years prior to that or 2 years prior to that in a row. They couldn't get past them. This was like the matchup they wanted. And that game was absolutely fantastic. I will say this. I was expecting a little bit more energy from the crowds. I'm not going to call everybody out, but I will just say, hey, it's a state playoff game. Guys, come to the games. Parents, get into the games. Get excited. This is state playoffs. For Meridian hosting a playoff game and winning their first playoff game since 2007, you'd hope to see a little bit more energy from the fan base. I would love to see that. I hope that, going into this next week, Meridian packs the stands over at Mountain View and they bring the heat. But that game was fantastic. I want to give a shout out to a couple of guys. Meridian on the rushing attack that game, Del Rio and Antonacci, however you pronounce his last name. I'll just call him Cross, right? Just absolutely dominated the ground game. When Cross went out, Del Rio comes in and just absolutely dominates, and they both could take over at any moment. And that's a scary thing, Meridian. If they have their running backs healthy, that's exactly what it looked like. They were getting super, super physical at the point of attack, and those running backs were getting uphill. Malachi had a fantastic game, very efficient game, and had some big-time throws. What some people might not realize, because the score looks super deceiving, is in that Meridian game, there were 2 fourth-down conversions that they had to get as Madison was inching closer and closer and closer in that game. 2 fourth-down conversions, one of which was to Thacker. So Davis had a huge 4th and 12 conversion after Meridian got pulled back for a holding call on a 4th and 2. Thacker gets a really good slant pass, boom, catches it. He had 2 of those passes in clutch time during that game that was huge. And Malachi was throwing dimes. There was another 3rd and long, I think it was 3rd and 12 or 3rd and 15 to Riley that he rolled out on a 3rd down pass and just found Riley wide open, boom, and nailed him. Malachi had one of the best games I've seen him play at the biggest moment that he could have had it. And I give a shout out to him, because at that game, Madison was attacking every single possession. Meridian went up quick on him with 2 turnovers in the first quarter. They forced 2 turnovers, one on a kickoff and then a pick by Judah on one of their first throws of that drive. So they had 2 turnovers in late in their territory. What do you want to call it? Deep in their territory. Ended up scoring off those. So Madison was in a hole, but they kept fighting back. They couldn't be stopped. And Meridian just kept answering. And I thought it was so incredible. Such a physical game, such an amazing game. Madison fought really, really hard. And at one point, AJ, third quarter, we're getting to the end of the third quarter. No one had stopped anybody in the third quarter yet. Each team had driven, scored. No one was stopping anybody. And they stopped Meridian down 5. It was 33-28. Madison stops Meridian at the end of the third quarter, and they get the ball. So Madison's got the ball to start the fourth quarter. And that was the first stop of the entire second half up to that point. All the momentum was on their side. Everybody had a feeling like, Madison's going to come down and score. They hadn't stopped them in 3 possessions prior to that. And they come out there and go figure, Meridian locked down on the defensive side of the ball and got themselves a turnover on downs and ended up scoring really quickly. That was Del Rio's drive. So that's when they blew it open, is when they got the stop. So shout out to their defense as well, because when Madison made a stop, Meridian made a stop when it mattered, and then the offense took over again and blew the game wide open. So Madison actually had a really good time. Their crowd was back into it. Everybody's back into it, and everybody could sense that nervousness of, Madison might take this game. They got the stop they needed, and they're rolling. And then Meridian answered. So shout out to the Warriors for getting their first playoff win since 2007. It was an honor to be there and cover it. And shout out to Test 36 official as well. I was talking to the guy on the sideline, didn't realize who it was until he told me, hey, tag me in this post. And I was like, what's your handle? Test 36. I'm like, oh, dude, you're the content creator. So shout out to him as well, getting some great footage for the Warriors. But what a game, and what a way to get your first playoff win in 14 years. Absolutely fantastic. Ty, you're back. Can you hear us?
I'm back. I can hear you guys too. You don't sound like a robot.
Let's go. We got Ty coming back to us.
I was really enjoying the show, kind of broken up in a robotic voice that I kind of had to decipher what you were saying. But I think I heard Cross's name. He had a big game. We needed some energy from the crowd is what I'm hearing. But that was, I really had to break that one down. Dude, so glad to be here. You guys are smiling, looking good. I can hear you. Glad to be here.
So Ty's a translator. If you guys didn't know that, on top of being a social media, content creator, he's a translator. So
I'm a robot.
Hire him. He's putting that onto his resume. Let's get to the next game, guys. Capital Lewiston. They're going to give us a lot of flack for this. Capital boys, there's a couple of us that said, hey, we're not sure if you can get the job done. We didn't know if they had – we knew they had the athletes. That was what was specifically mentioned last week. They had the athletes. Could they put a game together and keep their energy levels high and play an efficient game where they could win? Could their playmakers make plays? And now it's time for you guys to break that down, because Capital proved a couple of us wrong going up to Lewiston, which is not easy to win at, and put the beat down. It wasn't just a win. It was a beat down. They absolutely dominated that game. We got some stats to throw your way. So first I'm going to start with AJ, but Ty's also going to give some insight on this Capital game as well.
Well, Ty's the one that fed me these stats, so I'm going to go ahead and take some of your material, Ty guy. But it sounds like Capital starting to give Cody Walk the ball as often as possible. I don't know how many receptions he had. I do know that in the last 2 games, according to Mr. Sports Talk here, he has, I think, 19 carries, over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. So they're starting to just hand him the ball and force people to have to tackle him. which just shows how special he is. And we've been talking about it since before the season started. This is the guy who maybe Ty was the highest on. He said, wait till you see the walk kid. Wait till you see the walk kid. And we're starting to see how special the kid is, why he's a next level Division I type football player. It seems to me, based on the last 2 weeks, so I'm going to take a step back. So 3 weeks ago, I believe about 3 weeks ago, we went to that Gurkha presentation, me and Ty did, at Capitol to learn a little bit about the helmets and whatnot. And I thought, after something like that, they're going to be ready to play in a rivalry game against Bora, solidify the 2 seed, whatever. Well, they go and they lose that game to Bora, a Bora team who is middle of the pack, playoff team, whatnot. Not to downplay it, but a game we all expected Capitol to win. And so they lose to Bora. And at that point, I think we had all maybe thrown the towel in on Capitol. Then from what I hear and from what I'm hearing, they had a team meeting, and I don't know who the speaker was, but someone came in and talked to them before that playoff game against Timberline and got them rolling, got them going. And sure enough, they blow Timberline out of the water. I picked Timberline, and it was a 42-7 game. And then we think, okay, that's kind of who Timberline is, right? Kind of up and down, depending on the matchup, they can be successful or they can get blown out, which we've seen. So kind of take that with a grain of salt. And then we get to this game against Lewiston. All of us pick Lewiston. We don't believe in Capitol because of the chemistry stuff and the different things that they've been dealing with. And they just show up and they show out. And I made a comment last week that Ethan Castillo, it wasn't a call out. It was just more of, I think the potential is there for Ethan Castillo to make a huge difference for them if he plays in more dominant fashion. And sure enough, he has a pick on defense. He has over 100 yards on offense. Max Clark was finding him. Jacob Olson had over 100 yards. Cody Walk, had a big game as well. He had 5 sacks. That's his second 5-sack game of the year, which is absurd.
Insane, dude.
Yeah, Tucker French had a sack. Summers had a sack. Kovac had a sack. They defensively up front, we know they have that plethora of dudes. That's why, when we saw them get dominated by Meridian earlier in the year and whatnot, it was a surprise. But French, Summers, Kovac, Walk, those guys dominated the game from what it sounds like. Ty, welcome back.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
They dominated up front. Castillo with the pick, Downey and Cherry, those guys doing their thing. Max Clark was finding guys, running the offense, and they dominated. And now all of a sudden it's, hold on a minute. The last 2 outings for Capitol may have been their the 2 most impressive for them. Are they rolling? Has it clicked? Are they all on the same page? Are they playing for each other? Because if they are, Rigby better look out, because this Capitol team will come in and handle business against Rigby. And I'm maybe more excited for this game than I am any other game, because I think the Capitol team we all believed and believe they can be has arrived. This game's going to be crazy. So, for me, all the dudes stepped up. And they have been the last 2 weeks. Is third time going to be a charm? Are they going to knock off, number 1 from the East and the preseason favorite to win it all in Rigby? I don't know who I'm picking yet, because I still got a couple minutes. But I'm not pick. It's going to be tough to pick against a guy like Cody Walk and Avery Downey and and Nate Cherry and these guys when they're rolling this way. But we'll see when the time comes here in the next couple minutes to pick. But I'm excited for that one.
Man, that's crazy. Capitol, sometimes we've talked about it, AJ, and just for those who are listening, Ty might not be able to make it on tonight. It sounds like his technical issues are continuing. So AJ and I will finish this one up for us this week. If Ty can make it back on, we will. It's a bummer. It's sometimes that's what happens with technical issues, you lags and whatnot. But moving on with this discussion, it's about who's playing, who's healthy and who's playing at the right, at the right times. And it seems like you were just breaking it down. They remind me a lot of kind of like Eagle in a sense, in the fact that they're hitting their stride. It seems that they're hitting their stride at the right time. We always knew Capitol had the playmakers. We knew they had these dogs like Cody Walk and Castillo and all these guys. We've talked about Clark earlier in the season, Downey, everybody. Like you just mentioned so many awesome names, but it was a matter of can they play for each other and can they stay together for a full 4 quarters? And looks like the last couple of weeks, maybe they've switched that around. And, like I said, or like you said, Rigby game is going to be very interesting to watch. Eagle and Bora, shout out to Kaizen for giving us some updates for this Eagle-Bora game. Eagle took care of business, but it wasn't without a fight from Bora as far as the physicality. From what we were told, the physicality of Bora caused some problems. They were playing as hard as they possibly could. I'll give my shout out to Bora. We weren't so sure if they were like going to come into this game were they just happy to make the state playoffs? Were they even going to be interested in playing this game? Eagle coming in there, arguably the hottest team in the entire conference outside of Mountain View, and at least they put up a fight. Eagle ended up running away with it, but Bora put up a fight. Eagle gets the job done. But here's the deal: like that was expected. Maybe they were looking forward to this week and just like passed them on, but now they're going to go up to Coeur d'Alene, and that, my friends, is a tough place to play. But do you have any insight on that one, AJ, for Eagle and Bora?
Yeah, so shout out to Bora as well. I'm impressed with the effort. All the messages I was getting was, hey, Bora showed up, and they're trying to hit us in the mouth, and they're matching us physically. We know that Eagle has struggled from time to time to stop the run consistently. So potential for a kind of a bad situation for them. They were going to have to, turn it on a little bit to get this win, kind of what they had to do. Good for Bora in this situation. I think this is more a highlight on Bora than it is kind of a question mark for Eagle. It's playoff football. Your season's on the line. Your career is on the line potentially for a lot of these kids. Gave it everything they got. And honestly, that doesn't surprise me coming from a Bora Lion team, whether that be basketball, football, whatever. Those are tough kids. Those are hard-nosed kids, gritty kids. Really impressed with them, and I think they should be very, very happy with the type of season they had and the way they ended it, because Eagle has multiple Division I football players on that team, skill guys. You got Gage Jones, Donovan Jones, Ian Duarte is getting serious looks. To go into Thunder Stadium, too, as you know, that's a serious home field advantage. Good for Bora, great season, great career for, Toth and a lot of these seniors, Aiden Bolt. They got some pieces coming back next year. I'm excited for them. But Eagle, I think, was confident going into this game. I don't want to say they were looking ahead. They handled business, did what they needed to do in a potentially difficult matchup based on, team strengths and weaknesses. But it's going to be fun to see Bora next year. But it's going to be real fun to see Eagle this week against Coeur d'Alene. Can those playmakers go up there and deal with, maybe, in my opinion, the best overall player in the state, in Cameron Cope for Coeur d'Alene? I'll touch on him a little bit later. But Eagle Coeur d'Alene is a game I want to go to. My wife's not going to let me go to Coeur d'Alene back-to-back weeks. But excited about that one.
That's so awesome. Shout out to Eagle. Congrats on making it. Again, shout out to Bora as well on a good season. Solid finish to the season. Nothing to hang your hats on, like as far as like don't hang your head low. Keep your heads held high. It's awesome. Highland and Skyview. This one was interesting. AJ, your boys go over there to Highland. A couple of us picked Skyview to kind of make that upset, and people thought we were crazy. And for the majority of that game, they were responding really well. It was a very, very good matchup. Highland ends up kind of blowing the door open at the very end due to some turnovers that ended up happening. That's how you play football. That's how you do it. You get some turnovers. It's two sides to the ball, offense, defense. That's what happens. But Skyview, I felt like had a great matchup with them, but ultimately Highland is hitting a stride, and Skyview it was typical of Skyview, what we've seen from them throughout the year. They're such a good team as far as like staying together and fighting hard, but for some reason they just couldn't get over the top, the peak. They couldn't get over there. So talk to me about what you saw or heard of from the Highland Skyview game, with Highland taking the victory.
Skyview is exactly who we've said they are. They're exactly who we thought they were. They went over there to a team who earlier this year was one play away from beating Rocky Mountain. And they were there till the very end. And we've talked about this before, and even more so now in the playoffs when you play against, on the road, especially against some of these teams, you just can't beat yourself. I mean, that's any sport. You just can't. You got to make them do everything they can to beat you. And Skyview played very well. They scored with, I think it was 48 seconds left in the first half to tie it up. And then they give up an 80-yard kick return down to the 10-yard line, and Highland scores right before the half. I mean, that, for me,
brutal.
That's a backbreaker. That's tough. Then Highland comes out, and I think they score right away. Not 100% sure. But for me, I was up in Coeur d'Alene essentially covering the Skyview girls volleyball team, the state champs, back to back. Shout out to them. And after their game that I was covering, so this game started a little bit earlier. I think it started 5:30 Mountain Time before all the other ones. So they were sitting there with their iPad, and the whole girls volleyball team was watching the game while they were also watching the semifinal volleyball game. So I'm kind of popping back and forth, hanging out with them a little bit. They're keeping me updated, letting me know, what's happening. It seemed like it was a lot of back and forth, and Skyview just would not go away. Fafita, I know, had a big game. He was making plays, Pennington as well. But ultimately, Highland on the road, they did enough to hold Skyview off. And if you ask any of those Highland guys, they will say very impressed by that Skyview team, because, like you said, Skyview cut the lead, I think, to 3 again in the second half, and then they fumbled on their own 17. Highland scored to extend it to 10, and then they fumbled again. I think on their 30 or something. So just kind of beat themselves. You try to eliminate those things. And if you take those things away, we may have that upset that you guys called. But Highland, a very good team. Now they got to come to Rocky Mountain after Rocky played them earlier this year. 5-point game, came down to a sack by A.J. Edwards to essentially win the game for Rocky on the 5-yard line. Highland wants revenge. Rocky, I think, has got to be frustrated after that district championship game. It's going to be interesting to see what Rocky team shows up. They better show up because Highland's coming for them. But shout out to Skyview, man. So much fun to cover. Incredible group of kids. Wish they would have pulled off that upset, but nothing to hang their hats on. A school of 1,100 kids. It's getting ready to go back to 4A, and these dudes played like a bunch of giants, man. So shout out to those guys, Fafita and the boys.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And that's the beauty of high school football. There's so many storylines in every game. There's the kids are so special. They got so many, there's connections, and that's why we love what we do. We got the personal connections with a lot of these guys. Like you said, AJ, nothing to hang your hats on for Skyview. Great season. Highland, congratulations. They're coming in for one of our rematches. So we're going to break down the second round games that you're going to see here this week. We've talked about them, but now we're going to break them down on what we should expect. We're going to start with this one. Big one at the top of the bracket, Meridian versus Mountain View rematch. You kind of talked about it, AJ. This is what Meridian wanted. Meridian's been talking about this for a minute. They know that first game they had them where they wanted them. They just couldn't execute when the time came. One thing that continuously sticks out to me, though, with Meridian is what you said, AJ, at our very first episode we ever recorded was, we talked about the Rocky Highland game, and then we were previewing this game that was going to happen that week. And you mentioned the depth of Mountain View, and I will consistently say this, this is the depth. It's always been in my mind. I think that's going to be a big piece to this game, the depth. I think Meridian's getting healthy at the right time. They have their skill players are getting healthy. They've got Thacker back at receiver. You could tell they've got some studs at the receiver position. Like I said before, Cross and Del Rio playing running back, amazing. Malachi's starting right now, getting a full game in. But they're healthy where they need to be. Whether or not that's going to get the job done against a Mountain View team is another story. I don't know. Their depth, Mountain View has gotten better, just like Meridian's gotten better. I talked about this before when I was in high school, or the year after I graduated from high school. The whole Byron Hout situation. He was playing for Lake City. I said this last week. Meridian went up there, and I thought my friends from Meridian, they were going to win that game. I was like, if they lost to Lake City, but they've gotten so much better since then and make it to the semifinals of the playoffs. But what we had failed to realize is that Lake City had also gotten better. We were like, we were so much better team than we were that first game. And I remember no, they're going to smack them. You go up there and you realize, Lake City got better. This might be one of those situations where, Meridian's gotten better and they're healthy, but Mountain View also has gotten better and they're battle tested. This whole season, they've played some of the top teams in the entire conference and they've come out victorious, and they're at home. They've been battle tested and they're not scared of the moment. So this is going to be a fun one to watch. I expect the crowds to be electric. 2 amazing programs, 2 amazing crowds, crosstown rivals within about 5 miles from each other. AJ, what are your thoughts on the game?
Man, I mean, Malachi Martinez went out at the end of this game. Towards the end of this game, I think at the end of the third quarter, I think it was around last time they played. It was a 1-point game, and Meridian's backup at that time. It wasn't Zeke quite yet. Zeke started the following week, but he drove him downfield, got him in line for a 28-yard field goal, and they just missed it, and they lost by 1. So this Meridian team is not afraid of Mountain View. They know they can play with them. I think the Meridian offensive line is going to have to play their best game of the year. They need to give Malachi time. You can't have him running east and west. He needs to be able to stand there for a minute and find guys. You're right. They are getting healthy at the right time on the defensive side of the ball. I know Corbin Meisner is going to be back this week. He did not play against Mountain View the first time. My opinion, he's one of the best defensive linemen in the league, and there are other people out there that believe that as well. They put him at nose guard, and he makes a big difference there. So he did not play against Madison. He will be playing this week from what I'm hearing. That's going to be interesting to see because he's had a great season, and now you put him there. Mountain View's not familiar with him, but that Mountain View offensive line, I don't think is too worried about anything because they've dominated everybody they've played. I think the most they've been stifled was probably the first half of the year against Meridian. And so Meridian knows that they've got the guys that can cause some problems as well. Now you implement Meisner and those guys, and I think this could be a really interesting game. I think Martinez, like you said, he just had one of his best games. This is Malachi Martinez's moment. And I'm not trying to put any pressure on him. I think this is just an opportunity for him to go out and just solidify himself as the top quarterback in Idaho, which I think he is. And he's going to have to do it against the top defense in Idaho, which Mountain View is from a depth perspective all the way down. Their front seven, their secondary. They've lost some guys, and they next man up. You've seen it. Aiden Whipple's back. Owen McBride, the sophomore, has just exploded onto the scene this year as soon as he got his opportunity. So they got guys everywhere. Dawson Wall has improved every single game. He is a game manager. He is trusting Sotomayor on the outside to be the better athlete. That's been fruitful for them as the weeks have gone on. And of course, Quintez Evans and that offensive line, which is more difficult to stop than anybody else in the state of Idaho. So it's going to be a great game. It's going to come down to who can hold on to the football, I think. I think it's going to be a game of I think whoever wins the turnover battle wins this game. Because like I said, Meridian's not intimidated. They're not going to be afraid to go to Mountain View and show up and do their thing, especially when they feel like they owe them something. The Ninja Turtles are going to have to play well. Ryan Corder, those guys, Tristan Martinez, of course, Gooley, William Reynolds, everybody's got to tackle, and they got to be ball hawks because those Mountain View guys will be. That's who they are. If Meridian can match them intensity-wise and forcing turnovers and forcing mistakes, we're going to have ourselves a game. Really tough game to pick for me because of the previous matchup. But we'll take care of that in a second after we do our picks. But I'm excited, man. I'm going to be there. Weather's supposed to be nice. I cannot wait for this game Friday night. Rivalry time.
Let's go. Super exciting. It's just quite fitting that, we're getting into the state playoffs and it's, rematch of week 1 that we talked about was going to be an amazing game week 1. It's going to be an amazing game in the state playoffs. It's going to be enhanced even that much more. Who's ready for the spotlight? It's going to be a good one. So make sure you guys are following our channel at Idaho Underground Sports on Instagram. AJ will be at that game providing coverage as we continue with the coverage of the state playoffs. Next game on the list, AJ, Capital versus Rigby. We just talked about it. Capital coming in hot at the right time. Their playmakers are making plays. Cody Walk's an absolute monster on the outside. But can they get it done against arguably the number 1 seed, preseason number 1 seed in Rigby, who has an amazing quarterback? They just have the last couple of years, Rigby has built quite the program where they're at. Can Capital do it again? Going on the road, long travel for them, to go and get it done and play as efficient as they have. Can they do it? What are your thoughts?
You know what? It's going to take an extra special effort, especially, Rigby's last game they lost. So they're going to be hungry. Tiger, their quarterback, signed at Weber State, along with Cameron Cope, who I'll talk about in a minute from Coeur d'Alene. Those are two of the best players in the state. That Eagle has to go after Cope, and now Capital's got to go to Rigby and try and find a way. Do I think Capital's defensive line is going to do what they did against Lewiston? Absolutely not. I think Rigby's offensive line is a bunch of monsters, and I don't think they're going to probably allow that. They're going to give Tiger some time. I think it's going to be more important for Avery Downey, Nate Cherry, Ethan Castillo, Will Kovac, guys like that to make plays, which I think they're extremely capable of doing. I think they will surprise Rigby with the guys they got. It's, for me, it doesn't seem like against Timberline and against even Lewiston, there was much adversity for Capital because they just blew the doors off right away. They will face adversity this game at some point. How they handle that will dictate where their season goes, in my opinion. I think this is going to be a close game. I think Capital is figuring out who needs the ball in their hands, the balance, where to put your playmakers on defense. They've got a ton of – they've got the top – I believe the top two leading sack getters in the SIC. They've got the top two, I think, in tackles. I know Summers was number one. So the top one in tackles. They've got the leading passer. Walk is top two in receptions, top three in receptions. They've got some of the best players in Idaho. They've got a lot of complimentary players, and they're physical, and they can be intimidating too when they want to be. When the adversity hits, Guru, are these guys going to come together, or are they going to bite each other's heads off like we saw against Meridian? And so based on how their leadership handles that, and I haven't seen them enough since we called them out on this, where will the leadership from a player standpoint, coaches are going to do what the coaches can do. From a player standpoint, have they established who the leaders are going to be? And are these guys going to lead, with positivity, or are they going to jump on guys and lead in a different way that dudes just don't respond to? And we saw that. So the leadership aspect of Capital is going to come, like how far Capital goes this year, period. They could go and win the whole thing. They're that talented, but will they come together in the midst of adversity, waiting to see if they have the ability to do that? They just, I think, took a huge step forward going to Lewiston, winning that game when not many teams at all have won up north in the last 15, 20 years. They went and they handled business. They shut us all up and got us. I'm glad they shut us up. I'm excited about this team. Yep. I'm a believer in this team if they can come together, but I'm also a big believer in chemistry, cohesion, leadership. I think those championship teams have to have those things. Are these guys on the same page? Did that loss to Bora and that team talk they have, did that do enough to bring them together for these leaders to lead with love and go win a state championship? We'll see. If they can beat Rigby, I think they can beat Rigby? Yes. Do I think they will beat Rigby? We'll talk about that in a minute, but they have the guys. I'm excited for this game, probably more excited for this game than any other game. And we got a slate of this crazy game. So yes, Capital can do it. They got to handle the Weber State commit, Tiger Adolfo. I mean, good luck with that. And trying to put pressure on him and not let him do his thing all day is going to be difficult because that offensive line over there is really good. But I think Capital can match them. I think they got the offensive weapons, and I think they got the guys on defense, the ball hawks and the playmakers to create some turnovers and surprise everybody once again.
Yeah, Capital has surprised us. And I'll say this, watching them against Meridian, we obviously knew that was a really bad part of their season. Then I watched them against Mountain View where they fought. And they did face adversity and did a lot better in that game. They fought. They were in position to be in that game at the end of that game. So they did a very good job. And yes, they lost to Bora, but they fought. So just seeing the progression of Capital throughout the season shows me the leadership has taken place. Like they're starting to get there. They're understanding, sometimes you have to learn the hard way in life. And they've understood like what happens when we don't stay together and then what happens when we do stay together and how they can be in those games. They definitely have the talent and, the ability to make this a game and potentially come out on top against Rigby. Eagle versus Coeur d'Alene. We talked about this before. Eagle being super hot, getting off their victory with Bora. They've been super hot from the very end of that season, like just hitting their stride at the right time. O-line's playing better. The rushing attack, even with all the injuries, rushing attack's been better. Great quarterback play as well. Their secondary is fantastic. Like it's Eagles hitting their stride, but they're going up north. And according to AJ, it's only a 6.5 hour drive. That's false. Definitely 8 hours, if not more, to Coeur d'Alene.
Stop it.
We're gonna go ahead and while we're recording this, Boise to Coeur d'Alene.
Bro, if I'm driving at 6.5 and that's
7 hours, okay, 7 hours.
I can cut 30 off that, no problem, bro.
Yeah, that's true. If you guys have ever ridden with AJ, you know that's the truth. Okay, so they're gonna go up in this 6.5 hour drive, which will turn into 8 with a bus. So they're gonna go up here and play Coeur d'Alene. And you were talking about, Coeur d'Alene's ballers, man. They've got some super good studs. Coeur d'Alene is a beautiful city. That stadium is a little different than Lake City's stadium. Coeur d'Alene's not as fancy as Lake City, I should say, but they are, it's a good school. It's just a different atmosphere having to travel and then go play. Can Eagle get the job done, AJ? That's the thing. Can they keep playing their game? Do they have the personnel to get it done? Do they have the cohesion? Do they have the leadership to get the job done up north where it is not an easy task?
Absolutely. And I think they will. We'll talk about that in a minute, but they're going to have to handle Cameron Cope. Cameron Cope is 6'5", 6'6". He's got an Austin Bolt type of motor. Shout out Austin Bolt. We miss you. But Cameron Cope was getting looks from Nebraska, from teams like that. Decided to stay close to home. He's going to Weber State with Tiger Adolfo, the quarterback from Rigby. Cameron Cope is a freak show. Everything I've heard about him, he is one of the most difficult athletes to deal with. He's a basketball player too. He's a pretty good basketball player, but he is a football kid first. He's physical. He's long. And like I said, his motor is unmatched. If Eagle doesn't handle him and does not keep Benson upright, because Coeur d'Alene wants to get after the quarterback. I mean, they beat Lewiston in the Kansas City playoff with 2 sacks in that final game. When Lewiston got the ball and had to score, it was sacks. Like, they want to get after the quarterback. They're going to let Cope just go do his thing. And if I'm Eagle, I'm double teaming him and I'm making everybody else beat me because I don't think they can. The North has not impressed me with what Lewiston just did against Capital. Like I said, maybe that's just Capital being who we all thought Capital could be. But Lewiston goes and gets blown out by Capital. And then, you've got Eagle. And then Lewiston beat Coeur d'Alene this year. They beat them. No, I believe they did. I believe it was Lewiston that – no, excuse me. It might have been Post Falls. Post Falls might have beaten Coeur d'Alene. So that I'll have to fact check that. But the North to have a 3-way tie for Coeur d'Alene I thought Coeur d'Alene was locked in. I thought they were that dominant. There are some holes on that team, but there's also a plethora of athletes. They have a ton of guys that can make a ton of plays. But Cameron Cope, for me, is the difference maker there. When the lights are bright is when the stars, shine most. And if Eagle doesn't focus on Cameron Cope, there's going to be problems. He has to have a monster game, I think, for them to beat Eagle at home, playoff football. You have a different type of energy. I think he's coming. And I think Eagle's going to be ready to go. I think they've got the senior leadership there with Donovan Jones, J-Bone Benson, Ethan Makita on the sideline. He has done a phenomenal job since he went out the first game of being a leader, being uplifting and positive to his teammates. I see him at every game, and he's in the middle of it all. I think defensively, Tyler Ball, Gage Jones, Brock White, they've got the playmakers. They cannot go up there and let Coeur d'Alene run all over them. They've got to stop the run and not give up 6-7 yards of carry and let Coeur d'Alene dictate the tempo. They cannot do that. They've got to make Coeur d'Alene throw the ball and make Coeur d'Alene try to keep up with them, in my opinion, because I don't think Coeur d'Alene's stopping them. And I think but it is on the road. So who knows who's going to be able to travel that 8 hours and be ready to go up at Coeur d'Alene in a hostile. I promise you it's going to be a hostile environment. And Eagles got to be locked in. They got to bring that toughness. They got to be ready to go and understand they got a chance to get to the state semis by pulling off what most would consider an upset. It's not going to be – I think it'll be an upset if Coeur d'Alene beats Eagle, personally, because of I haven't seen Coeur d'Alene play a lot. I just can go off of what I know about them. And like you said, Eagle's one of the hottest teams in the state. They've got multiple Division I football players on both sides of the ball. Are they going to be able to go win this game. I think they will. I think they do, but it's a big question mark for me. Like Jason Ward was saying, tough for teams to go up there and get a win. There's a lot that goes into that. The travel time, the you're on the road, the home field advantage, just the atmosphere, everything comes into play. I think the leadership is there for Eagle. I think the playmakers are there. I know Deegan Martino is out, and we heard it was not a torn ACL. It was a sprained MCL, so he may be back if they win, but he won't be there. So can Eagle run the ball effectively enough with Hull and some of those, Roy Hull and some of those guys, to continue to have that balance and that flow that makes them as dangerous as they are? Because that's why they're so dangerous. They're so efficient everywhere. I think Roy Hull can do it, physical back. They've got some other guys. It's going to be interesting to see, dude. Can you tell I'm up in the air on this one? I mean, it's a tough one.
Can tell you it's like at 1 second I think you're like going the way of Coeur d'Alene. The next second I think you're going with Eagle. I see that. That's why this is such an exciting game. And that's why we love the state playoffs. Eagle versus Coeur d'Alene. We'll give you guys our picks here in just a minute. Get to our last game of the week is the other rematch, Rocky versus Highland. First week of the season, very first game of the season. It was in week 0, we call it, because Rocky played Highland before the season actually really even started for the rest of the squads. Rocky comes out with a very, hard-fought win, last-second sack to win it. You just talked about that. Edwards having the sack to take Rocky home in that first one. This is going to be an exciting one. This whole season I've been talking about how Rocky's been flying under the radar and that they're the team to beat and so forth, even though they had lost that game to Mountain View. But now, after having lost the SIC championship, district championship, in the fashion in which they did, I'm curious to see how they respond to that. They've had to respond to that twice. Are they going to come back from that adversity as a better team? I believe they have improved drastically since the beginning of the season. I think Rocky truly has. But I also think Highland may have improved. The only benefit to this game, in my opinion, is as far as like having Rocky having the advantage, is it being at home. It's not inside. It's not indoors. So Highlands used to play in the indoor stuff. Like, that's not how it is over here. You're going to be playing outdoors in November. It could get a little chilly. You might not be throwing the ball as well. It hurts to tackle. Your hands start to hurt. Your joints hurt when you make those tackles. That's the thing that sucks about cold weather football, but that's the reality of the game. Rocky's going to have a tough one here, but I do think at home, AJ, I think Rocky pulls this one off. I think you're going to see an efficient game from Sweeney. You're going to see them run the ball, but you're also going to see them have a solid game. And I think Rocky's defense is going to hold strong again. That's my thoughts. What are you looking forward to with Rocky Highland?
Okay, so I think, they've played before, right? I think that in this particular situation, I think it benefits, I think probably both of them. Rocky being at home and the weather being nice, I think, is what will tip me towards Rocky. I did not like the way Rocky Mountain looked when it was raining. I would be completely honest with you. They could not, receivers were dropping balls. Sweeney wasn't as accurate as he usually is. That worried me a lot. If it was raining this game, I don't know who I pick. I believe it's not going to be raining. It's supposed to be nice, mid-50s, cloudy, but sun out during the day. So for me, that's going to benefit Rocky, especially being at home. I think Rocky physically on defense has the guys to take care of business. It will be interesting to see how they respond to that loss. I don't think they cared much about losing that game. I think they look at it as, hey, we're on the opposite side of the bracket as Rigby and Mountain View now. So silver lining. So, yeah. But you should take some pride in that. You're 0-2 against Mountain View this year, a team that you historically have been better than. And so, it's going to be interesting. Rocky has 2 losses this year. They were 31-1 in the last 3 seasons, and now they've got 2 losses this year. Can they make the plays? I believe they will. Highland is a team that I think is going to come in and be ready to go. I think they wanted this matchup. They don't care that it's on the road. Those kids over there are tough, physical kids. They're not going to back down, especially that they've already gotten a feel for them. They probably felt like they should win that game. But Sweeney's going to have to make plays. He's going to have to be efficient. He's going to have to put the ball in the playmaker's hands. And these receivers are going to have to go bully. They have the most physically imposing position group in Idaho in this wide receiver group with Jackson Mason, Luke Hanchett, Luke Lucchini, CJ Jacobson, and Hunter Stecker, who, if he's not healthy and he's not playing, problem for Rocky. He takes them to another level. I know he went out against Mountain View early and did not return. I'm hoping he's healthy and gets to play. He had a 95-yard touchdown against Highland last time, which was the play of the game, and kind of showed who he is. His involvement and health, I think, is vital moving forward for them, especially what he did against Highland last time. But they need to be more dominant on the receiving end. You know, they're going to do their thing with Jackson Fulmer on the line and Art Williams, the Reaper, doing his thing. Sweeney can run the ball a little bit, but these receivers, Sweeney and these receivers, need to be dominant in every game moving forward to win a state championship, because they should be. I would like to see more fades. I would like to see more jump balls. I would like to see that, because I've seen it before and it's worked, and I didn't see it against Mountain View, and I'd like to see more of that. But going to be a fun one, Shane, and I'm excited for you to get to go cover this.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is going to be a fun one. I will be at this game while AJ's over at Meridian Mountain View. I'll be covering Rocky Highland. So again, follow us on Instagram at Idaho Underground Sports. Catch all the coverage that we can possibly provide you guys with updates and everything. It's going to be a fun one. Definitely some tough games to pick from, but we've got to do it. We got to make our picks. So I'm going to go game by game. We've already heard the analysis. Now it's just time to get our picks. Meridian versus Mountain View. Here's the deal, guys. This is a struggle for me. I'm a Meridian alum, and I love Meridian. I'm a big fan of their program. I love the kids that play there and everything. I've picked against Mountain View on multiple occasions this year. They've proven me wrong every single time. I've gotten to love like the kids from Mountain View as well. The fans from Mountain View, I can't speak highly enough of their student section and so forth. It's a tough one for me. I think Meridian is prepared. We've already broken all that down. But ultimately, I cannot pick against Mountain View again. I cannot do it. So I'm going to be taking Mountain View. I think they are battle-tested. They're ready to rock and roll. I've got Mountain View winning this game, and I don't even know what the score is going to be. It could be a 1-point game. It could be a 2-score game. But I got Mountain View winning this rematch. AJ.
Yeah, man. I mean, I picked Mountain View against Meridian last time, and I got the cold shoulder from some of the guys at Meridian, which is hurtful because I love Meridian. Those are my boys. I just don't know how you pick against Mountain View against anybody at this point. The domination against Rocky was impressive. I don't have the words for it. It was just, wow, this team is ready to go raise a trophy type feel. I'm going to go with Mountain View. Part of me would love to pick Meridian in this, and not because I love Meridian, but because I think they can do it. And I think they may do it. But I'm not picking against the Mavs. I'm not picking against that defense. I'm not picking against the improvement and efficiency of Dawson Wall and then Mr. Evans and Mr. Guzman and Schultzmeyer and all them. Just can't do it. So I'm going to go with the Mavs.
Got two of us for Mountain View. Capital Rigby. As we get into the Capital Rigby game, we've talked about them. Does Capital have the athletes to do it? Yes. Can they do it? I think yes. I think this is one of those games, AJ, where Capitals hit their stride. It might benefit them that they had a game this first round, and Rigby's coming on a bye. Sometimes the bye week, I know people say, oh, it's great for you getting healthy. As an athlete myself, I actually hated bye weeks. I hated when we didn't have a game because I felt like you get out of a rhythm. I think that actually plays to Capitals' benefit. I think Capitals going to come in there. They have a rhythm going right now. It might help them with a quicker start than they were, might have gotten if Rigby was coming off a game just recently. And I think that plays to Capitals' benefit. I am taking the upset pick here. I think Cody Walk on that defensive line is going to give their quarterback fits, and they're going to keep them in the game. And I think Capital has the playmakers to get it done in crunch time. Capital wins this one.
Wow. Oh, man. I'm still undecided.
I got to decide.
I know. I picked against Capital last week. Felt bad about it, but was glad to get my mouth shut there. You know what? Rigby was the number 1 seed, picked to win the whole thing this year. It looked like, they were on course to do that. Lost to Madison. They were up 21-0. Madison comes back. Madison's got some offensive weapons, not at end of the world. They lose, they get a bye week, and now they get to prepare for Mr. Walk and Capital. It's just so tough because it has Capital have they tied up those loose ends? And how will they respond in the midst of adversity? We'll see. Do I think they can do it? Yes. And I'm going to go ahead and pick them to do it. I'm going to pick Capital, Gurkha stick, baby, and learn my lesson from last week. Maybe it's an SIC homer pick. I do believe in my man Tiger Adolfo. I know what he's about. I know they got the offensive line, and I know that they got guys on defense that can make plays, but I also know that they can give up points because that's what Madison did. And Madison is going to be similar of a passing game with a lot of deep balls as Capital and Madison will be similar in that way. And I think Capital, Cody Walk and Ethan Castillo were not very excited about me saying that Logan Crane and Cam Porter were the top receiver duo in the state. And so now they get a shot to go shut me up again and show me and in turn make me look good for picking them. So Gurkha stick, baby. Good luck.
Let's go. All right. Eagles heading up to Coeur d'Alene. You guys just heard us break this one down. Super interesting game. And this also might sound like an SIC homer pick from us. Like, I don't mean it to be that way, but I truly feel like Eagles hitting their stride at the right time. I think Eagle takes out Coeur d'Alene. Some would call that an upset and some wouldn't. If you've been watching football and paying attention to these teams, Eagle is a stellar program. I think they've hit their stride. They will be tested. I think they win this one. AJ.
Yeah, I'm going with the Mustangs. Nothing that has happened yet has impressed me with the North, except for Cameron Cope, which I think if Eagle can limit him, you're not going to stop the kid, but if you can limit him and not allow him to beat you, I think Eagle has enough guys. And for me this year, because Malachi was out, I think he's the best quarterback in Idaho, but the top quarterback in the league this year throughout the season for me was Mr. Benson, top 10 rushing, top 10 passing, carries himself the right way. His teammates trust him. I like that. I think he's ready for that. And I think he's got the guys around him, excuse me, that are gonna help get them there with Donovan Jones, Ian Duarte, even Mr. Makita on the sideline. And then defensively, I think Gage Jones will have his boys ready to go. Eagle is underrated defensively. They do give up a lot of yards on the ground, that bend, don't break type mentality on the ground, but they have so many ball hawks, dude. And I could name off 5-6 guys right now: Eli Makita, Tyler Ball, Gage Jones, Brock White, like I've said before, Seth Brock. They just got guys everywhere who can make plays. And I think they will. I think they'll be ready. I think they're a better offensive team, and I think they're definitely comparable, if not better, defensively with more playmakers. But handle Cameron Cope, and I think they'll be fine. I think Eagle wins by 7-14 in there somewhere.
Wow, we got the Mustangs together, so I'm not making any ground there either with our picks. I think I'm at the bottom of the barrel and I'm not coming back up, so that is what it is. Rocky versus Highland. We've already given the analysis on this one. We've talked about what we expect from this game, what we think can happen so long as the right playmakers make plays. And I'm going to be real with you right now. I think Rocky's going to respond here. I still have faith in Rocky, while it might be a little bit shattered or rattled, I should say. It's not completely broken. I got faith in Rocky and the fact that they're super talented, one of the most talented teams in the state of Idaho. Highland coming into town, they're going to want that rematch too. They're probably pissed about that 1-point victory, that 1-score victory, just like Meridian Mountain View, same concept. But in this situation, I think Rocky's ready to go. Rocky has lost at home this year and got dominated by Mountain View at the beginning of the season in that first matchup of theirs. So they're not invincible at home, but I do think that plays into their benefit being at home for this one. And so I think Rocky's going to win this one. And I think they win. It's probably going to be another battle, but I'd say within a touchdown or less. AJ.
I'm going to go with Rocky Mountain as well. I'm a little bit closer to this is the game I'm worried about most. I'm worried for Rocky. I saw some things in that Mountain View game that had me kind of like, oh boy. I don't see them beating. I said this the other day too. I said whoever loses that second matchup between Rocky and Mountain View, whoever loses would win if they played a third time. I don't believe that anymore. I don't see Mountain View losing to Rocky if they play a third time. I'll say that right now. I am worried for Rocky Mountain. I think Highland's going to be ready to go. if Highland starts fast, I think Rocky could be in trouble. But Rocky does got the competitors and the dudes. Like I said, I want Sweeney to make plays. I want those wide receivers to make plays. If Stecker doesn't play, I don't know if this is my pick. I'm going to be completely honest with you. But I'm going to go with Rocky Mountain. I'm a Rocky Mountain believer as well, but I'm a little bit closer to that kind of worried, kind of broken area. But I like the Grizzlies, the landmine, Mason Jacobson, Troy Wilkie. They're so loaded on defense. Can they make enough plays offensively? I think they will. If the weather wasn't nice, I don't know if this is my pick either. I'm dead serious, but I think the weather's going to be nice. I think it benefits Rocky. I think Rocky at home. And then I think we have an Eagle Rocky semifinal game, which I think would be ridiculous.
Oh man, we're already looking forward to the semis, dude. Guys, that's our picks for you this week. We'll try to get you Ty's picks as well as Austin Bolt if we can get those loaded up here. Whether it's a video or you just get to see them on the Instagram page. But there's your show from us today. This is Gym Session. We appreciate you guys tuning in, listening to AJ and I as Ty was having some technical difficulties. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Idaho Underground Sports. And just as a side note, AJ's at EBC_media on Instagram, as you see there on this beanie. We're going to get some more merch for y'all to take part in as well, just as an FYI. We got some stuff coming down the line. If you want to follow me, I'm at Game Time Guru on Instagram. And if you want to follow Ty, it's at Boise Sports Talk. We all have our own media entities, but we are the Idaho Underground Sports Network. For AJ, for Ty, for myself, we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.